So quick question to you, Zombie Grub. How much STARBOW have you either seen or watched or played yourself, or is this all brand new to you too?
No, I actually played a few games.
Yeah, I made the mistake of picking random, thinking I get a good like mix of everything. I ended up just getting
Yeah.
Terran and Protoss back to back. I got like no games of Zerg in.
Well, I've also watched a few casts. Plus, I played Brood War, so I I know I don't know. I probably know more
Oh,
than you, but not every single spell.
probably. But you know what? If you played Brood War, you'll be excited. I don't know if you heard. Beastie Cutie's playing back
Yeah,
from
I
the
saw you tweet
grave.
that.
Back,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, hope he does well today. He's definitely one of my favorites to take this cup. But of course, it's not Brood War. It's just like Brood War. But alright guys, Zombie Grub now joining me on the cast. I am of course Rifkin, and spawning here in the lower left corner of the map. He is from ESU Gaming. Can he avenge Goody? Give it up for JackO!
And in the upper right, as the orange Zerg, it is RenZan.
He is from War Legend, and we actually got to watch a game of him earlier today. Very, very adept at using roaches. He had some great effect against the Protoss player who had, there were zealots, they had the speed upgrade, they had +2 weapons. Even then, with some storms behind them, roaches and burrow were just way too fast to keep up with, and it's really cool seeing those subtle differences, like not being able to burrow indefinitely or not being able to cloak indefinitely. Small little changes here and there that make us a little bit uncomfortable, but it's kind of cool seeing that it's different from regular StarCraft 2.
So far, I've only seen Zergs try and go for Ling Hydra against Protoss. Like they're really trying to go for the Brood War style. So it's interesting that he did roaches because Charge at Storm actually is very effective against a Ling Hydra bust. It was in Brood War as well, but I guess roaches probably surprised the Protoss player.
Yeah. Well, one thing that's kind of cool too, you mentioned Ling Hydra. One thing that's really great about that is, of course, the fact that Hydralisk upgraded into those very deadly units known as Lurkers that are not the easiest things to deal with early on in the game.
They're not as cool in Starbow, but do we have a cannon rush going on? Yeah, I guess we do.
This is really interesting because the last Protoss player that played against RenZan tried to do this exact same thing and it didn't really work out. So we'll see if this becomes problematic. We do see RenZan immediately putting a couple of drones on hold position and spreading to make sure no cannons can come down. Just going to keep the surface area blocked out more than anything else. Love this move, this finesse, but unfortunately doesn't quite get the cannon. Now he's going to pull a little bit more or give up his hatchery.
If he got okay with that pylon block back there, maybe he cannot get the further back cannon, but he's gonna get everything up front.
He's got to deal with this probe though, just constantly putting down new cannons. It's not fun
He's
to
gonna
deal
get the one
with.
in the back. Okay.
Drones are pretty good, Zombie Grub. Holy crap.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't remember if they're Brood War drones or not because like workers in Brood War were like so much better.
Well, these attack at 1.6. Isn't normal worker attack speed 1?
Maybe,
Am I
but
ridiculous?
it seemed it was a lot easier to take care of that cannon rush, but maybe it was
Yeah.
because just the map too. Like I mean, I know that you didn't really see cannon rushes in Brood War at all, and at least they're not entirely replicating Brood War, but a lot of the maps are. So, plus I'd really hate to watch Starbow and then get like out by a cannon rush. Like,
Yeah.
That's kind of lame.
I didn't realize we were watching StarCraft 2.
Exactly. Yeah.
But a cannon coming back up at home is not going to be quite enough to deal with these lings. There's a lot coming. This is not like 2, 4, or even 6. A full wall off may be in order here. And of course, no Chrono Boost quite available for the cannon once it's done to make it attack that little bit faster. But with the full wall off, looks like JackO should be okay in this regard.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool though. I like how you can put the Chrono Boost on the cannons to make it attack faster. It's not a big deal and it's nothing game breaking, but it's just one of those little niches that really make this game kind of that little bit extra cool.
Yeah. There's a lot of APM syncs in this game to make up for the fact that they want you to use a lot of APM and to be really hard and distinguish yourself. I can't believe that pylon still up, by the way.
Yeah, I was just looking at that too.
But they don't have the limited selection for buildings and hotkeys and stuff, so they had to find some other way. And like I know a lot of Masters players that are just having trouble with like the larva inject. They're like, oh god, it goes so fast. I'm not used to it.
Yeah, larva inject's definitely a bit weird, but it does kind of encourage more macro hatcheries and extra bases, which I kind of am a big favor of in the first place. More infrastructure is always a cool thing. We do have the Cadrian crystals finish up here in the main, so now Chrono Boost is available and uses it immediately to get those probes out. Of course, on 2 bases now with 2 Cadrian crystals, he should be able to saturate the second line pretty quickly.
Yeah. I want to be what both players will be going for. You said you casted RenZan before. What did he go for? Is there Superdos?
Well, that's what I touched base on. It's just like a lot of those roaches using that
Oh,
really
that was
fast
him.
bro
All right.
tech. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
He's just being a bouse, is what he was being, Zombie Grump.
Well, if it's effective, then I wouldn't be surprised if you did it again. It's really interesting to see which players, try and do StarCraft and which ones try and do Brood War. And then there's only so many players that are actually trying to do STARBOW, because it's totally undiscovered.
In the very small amount of games we've cast on the stream, that is probably the most accurate way I could describe the way today's gone. Like, you see Goody trying to play these things. We had Scanted earlier trying to do a Reaver drop versus BCQD. I mean, like, there's old school tactics being initiated. My mouse is freaking out. Sorry, one sec, guys. There's old school tactics that people are trying to relive or revitalize, I guess, but none of them are quite working, I think, the way anyone wants them to, because it's not Brood War. It is StarCraft 2, STARBOW.
Oh, these lanes are going to get, the Zealots pretty easily. The Spine Crawlers would have really helped out, too. It was a little bit of an overreaction, I think, but I guess they'll be useful for later on. That's interesting thing about STARBOW as well is that with no force fields, you can have chokes like this. Like a choke at a natural like this in StarCraft 2, never gonna work ever.
Yeah, were you watching Unfiltered yesterday by chance?
Yeah, I was.
I really like the point where Destiny was talking about how like force fields really affected maps. Like you could not have maps like this now because force fields would just break it. But if it was TVZ, for example, these sort of maps would be all over the place. It'd be cool. It'd be dynamic. It'd be slightly different. And Total Biscuit, of course, raised a really good point of like the tighter chokes give for a slightly better defender's advantage, depending on who's the technical defender. But still, it's nice that even the maps change up with this map mod, not just the actual units or the spells.
Yeah. Well, Dragoons are pretty good, or so I've heard.
Yeah,
at least more.
I think it's not nearly as much. Like Dragoons are good, but I think it's more that Stalkers kind of suck now.
Yeah. Well, you have to wait for a very long time to even get them because you have to get a Warp Gate.
Yeah, and of course, for those who weren't listening earlier, I believe Stalkers only attack once now instead of twice, and that blink is classified as for some reason. I don't know if it's true or like as far as the effectiveness goes. We have to wait to see actual army compositions and metagames to rise, but Stalkers have been classified as a support unit in this game rather than like an assault unit.
Huh. Interesting. Well, we got RenZan going for both upgrades for attack, which is interesting, and he's getting Roach Warren. I don't know. I guess he's going to be building both. I mean, that's like the only thing that's possible, right? He's going to be building both Lings and Roaches and trying to hit an attack. Otherwise, you usually do the Carapace with one of them.
Well, Stalker, or sorry, not Stalker, just so used to saying that from StarCraft 2. The Dragoon and the Zealots are going to move out of the base. Unfortunately, they're going to find there's not a lot they can do outside of this choke. A fight in this choke for JackO actually wouldn't be too bad with the Zealots keeping that Dragoon alive, but unfortunately takes the fight in the open and is forced to fight this out. And this is going to be a costly venture. A recall from the Nexus might be in order here if this gets a little bit too dicey, but coming in with reinforcements now on the full retreat. That metabolic boost kicks in just in time to get this surround off, and a couple Dragoons are going to fall. Again, a recall would be fantastic, and for those who don't know why I'm calling for a recall, the Nexus with the Cadrian Crystal can recall units, but looks like he will hold the line. The Dragoon with 1 HP for the win will escape.
Well, that was I'm not really sure why JackO decided to push out right there.
Yeah.
That seemed very odd, especially I don't know if he saw the 2 Spine Crawlers, but especially with the 2 Spine Crawlers, he would have been fine.
He's actually seen them, yeah, through vision.
Yeah, so that was odd. Well, he's still amassing a force, but it doesn't look that strong. He went for Charge Zealots, but it's against Roaches, and I guess.
Have you seen the Roach attack animation, by the way?
No.
Wait for it. It is so cool. Roaches and Vikings have like seriously the coolest new attack animations.
All right, well here it comes. I'm watching. Let's do it.
This one Dragoon's about to get exploded on with
it's like
fireballs.
God, fodder.
It's just a recolored version of the regular attack, but it looks so much cooler like this. Taking the fight on 2 different angles, though. Definitely not something RenZan wants to do, and of course he doesn't quite have those tunneling effects in yet. So forced to fight with the Roaches and no sneaky tactics available. Cleans up the Zealots, but has no capabilities of taking on these Dragoons. Yes, about half of them are almost dead, but still there's just too many. So it's forced to fall back.
Should have waited for the +1/+1 and the Hydralisk, in my opinion. I mean, like, all the upgrades are going on, and he just attacked before them. But the Hydralisk coming out definitely going to help. Plus that
Oh, there
Roach
we go.
Burrow. Wow, they are super flipping speedy.
Yeah, but of course they can only stay like that for like 6 seconds, kind of like the Banshee Cloak. It's not indefinite. Hydralisk's starting to come out a little bit here, but of course Hydras are not quite the crazy game units.
Oh, God.
Look
Oh,
how
my
fast
God.
these are. Yeah, it's insane. Get right on top of the
It's
Dragoons.
terrifying.
Quick snipe goes off, and these are the exact tactics we saw out of RenZan in the game earlier today, but unfortunately for him, JackO's got way more units. So many Dragoons ready and ready to go. And of course, guys, Dragoons do hit for 22 per shot. With a range of 6, that's not too bad.
Why? Hydras are so small. Why are Roaches so big?
Have you seen Ultralisks? Ultras
Are
are
they
like the
small?
size of a roach.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, Dragoon does get caught out here, but of course the scouting information it gives pays off in the end, so salute to him. Back at home, guys, so this is what I want to talk about more. The Nexus abilities are kind of cool. So there's no more Mothership Core, right? But you can recall units through Rift, and if you do this, it's only 5 units at most, and they take like 20 seconds before you can use them again. But it's kind of that get-out-of-jail-free card that it still was before. Chronoboo's going to go down to some of the gateways if this gets dicey, but it looks like with the Dragoons he has, the concave is set up. These Roaches might go for that burrow, but there's too much here.
He should have backed off after seeing the initial attack, I feel, but we have some micro going down from both players, actually. JackO doing pretty well with the Dragoons. It looks like Hydra's actually better than I expected. They're actually tearing through all of these Dragoons, much more like Rudor Hydralisks.
I know,
that's,
this sounds
actually favorably for him.
How nostalgic are you getting for these sounds right now, right? Like the Dragoons dying with that really mechanical sound from the Hydralisks. Zealots, of course, guys, they do not have charge like they used to. They just move faster with that upgrade. So trying to dance around this right now is JackO, and of course Warp Tech is not exactly a favorable choice. It's a little bit more effective to actually not even use Warp Tech. I mean, it's cool to get units across the field instantaneously, and in that regard that could be good, but there's a huge delay on the units warping in. There's a longer cooldown than if you had just built the unit straight up. And looks like, yeah, staying off of Warp Gate, staying off of Warp Tech, taking another engagement, but there's 10 more Roaches on the way behind this. And JackO does not quite have Storms. I don't know what this Templar is trying to do right now.
Maybe he thought he got Storm? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why he built a High Templar either, because he doesn't have it. It would have been very, very useful to use against those Hydralisks.
Great control of JackO, though. I mean, he's not overextending. He's not taking engagements he shouldn't, but I do wish he'd fight behind that choke into his own base. Use the cannon, for goodness sake. But Dragoon's still holding pretty decently for now. We got level 3 weapon upgrades on the way, and of course Storm is coming up now. Reavers might be out in due time if JackO can hold on for a little bit longer. This constant flood from RenZan, though, keeps pushing our Protoss player back, and this looks so dire for him.
Both players' macro is actually really, really good too. I'm checking their chrono boost and their energy on their queens, and it's
Oh, there we go. Cannons
these
involved
guys
in the
actually
fight.
practiced.
Yeah, Chrono Boost energy is definitely something weird to think about at this stage of the game, but you know, it's the first ever STARBOW tournament. Like, there might not be $10,000 on the line, but you get to say I was the first. You know, like coming up here with the Observer, we'll start providing some of that anti-burrow shenanigans that have been going on here, but I kind of feel like RenZan, it's only taken a little bit, but he's finally starting to get ahead in a big way. Roaches have completely engaged into this. We got more coming across the map, and the Zealots, well, actually, the Zealots might just be enough to be the force that pushes this back a tad.
Well, the Dragoons will catch up, because yeah, the Zealots themselves aren't doing the job. The Dragoons are being taken apart right here. Storm is about to finish, but I don't see any high tempos. In fact, he's getting a Reaver right now.
I'm liking the Reaver, though. It can be really good in chokes, and that's exactly what RenZan's going to have to fight in. JackO's been holding on for dear life, and all these Roaches are so low. A couple good Scarabs could really level the playing field. But this third base, I don't know if he can hold on to this.
I don't think so. There's also a defender's advantage in here. I believe it's like 50% of hitting.
Uphill.
Uphill, so that's also going to play a big part. You know, the fact that RenZan's already up there is going to help him a lot. Actually, you can see it in effect right now that Hydralisk actually hasn't taken damage in the last few shots, but that does go down. And he has Storm. He has the Reaver.
He's got to get back to this choke, though. Where is the Reaver? It's in the Warp Prism coming forward. What is this?
The Warp Prism.
Yeah, way to go, Brood War nerd. Scarabs are going to come out, guys, and Scarabs, of course, take some time to arm and take some time to build, but damage is going to get down. Oh, no, it's focused right away. The roaches circumvent everything. They do, of course, have to suicide for this. That might have been worthwhile, though, even losing the Reaver. Forces the roaches fight in a terrible engagement. Storm is finished, guys, but he doesn't have the energy for it just yet. Templar on the front lines. But someone in chat said it before. I didn't get to acknowledge it. Action is common in STARBOW, guys, and it has been non-stop for the last, like, 3 minutes. JackO's not had any room to breathe.
No, he hasn't, but he was slowly pushing it back, but every time he goes out past that choke, he seems to just lose the battle.
I know, it's like, just choke up, get to that turtle point, get your supply where it needs to be. A storm comes down, but unfortunately hits not much. Stuck on 2 bases now. JackO's actually starting to run into a bit of trouble here, where his economy is going to come into question if this keeps up for much longer. Of course, RenZan on 4 bases comfortably behind this. He doesn't care about throwing these units away. Training effectively, resources lost, almost dead even, but still, JackO chooses to push out, and I'm just like, JackO, back up to your choke! Hold the line!
These aren't charge lots either. These are speed lots, aren't they?
Yeah, they're speedy lots. Kind of like, briefly touched on that earlier. They don't have charge anymore, guys, for those who don't know.
The upgrade still says charge. I was confused. I was like, they don't look like they're charging. Don't lie to me.
Well, I mean, I guess technically they could be. But good game is going to be called. JackO says, I can't do this without a third base. And RenZan from War Legend will advance to the brackets. This guy's looking pretty good, ZombieGub. He knows what's up. He's got builds. He's got roach control. This is not a scrub.
Yeah, actually, I can definitely tell he's been practicing, just because his injects are so low. But also, he has that correct composition, I guess. Everyone else still trying to find out what they could do.
Trying to find the groove. Oh, let me go put up